One of the things that has been very difficult for people to speak about openly without being cancelled or branded a racist or branded prejudiced is what we say in Kaitai, the kaupapa, the issue of co-governance. The way in which co-governance is spread under this particular government, I am diabolically opposed to. I only need to talk today about the High Court bringing some restraint and common sense to the Tūhoe Runanga. This is the tribal organisation who thought it was a good idea to burn all the huts in the Urewera National Park. Of course, the reason they're able to do that is because the current government is not upholding the public interest aspects of that park. The Urewera Park previously, after the treaty, was the territory of the Tūhoe tribe, but sadly, since the Tūhoe settlement was established, there's been a great deal of divisiveness in that iwi, and that spilled over into people not feeling comfortable going either into that particular national park or using the facilities. So the High Court has demonstrated whether you are a big-time corporate, whether you're an NGO or whether you're a Māori runanga, the law applies to you. And weirdly enough, the person who brought the High Court action against this tribal organisation was a member of the tribe. So that just shows that co-governance is not a recipe for a tribe or a runanga or a group of hapu, a group of Māori, thinking that they can run the show without having to take account of public interest. Because if they overlook the importance of public interest, then what's going to happen is that ordinary Kiwis are going to be alienated. Anyway, it's a mad idea. It's been applied to the Division of Spoils in the Health Department, something that will never, ever endure. But most worryingly, it's been pushed largely to benefit a small number of Māori tribes in the area of Three Waters. Now, look, I don't want to blight today, tomorrow, this afternoon, going on too much about Three Waters, but the notion that democracy should play second fiddle to the priorities, the perspectives, or the agendas of a small number of our Māori iwi in relation to restructuring, recapitalising, repairing the pipes in the ground that deal with stormwater, wastewater and drinking water is risible. It's laughable. In fact, it would be a subject of humour if it wasn't so serious. I think this is actually going to be an issue that is going to affect a lot of rural communities, farming communities and regional communities in the run-up to the next election. But hey, full marks for that individual down in the Bay of Plenty who said to their own tribal authority, you are not dictators. You have no right to extinguish or walk over the rights of members of either the Tūhoe or garden variety Kiwi who have come to accept that national parks are a key feature of our public identity. So the guts of the High Court decision, and you can go online, is a very sensible outcome. Of course, these kinds of topics sadly aren't evenly discussed in most of our media outlets. Now I understand why, because if you mistakenly show a level of ignorance, then you're either called or you're cancelled out as a sort of angry old feature of the past, or that you don't belong in the modern new world, which is a lot more sensitive to the development of New Zealand as Aotearoa, whatever that looks like. So bear in mind, these views are my views, but I'm 63 years old, grew up speaking the language in the very far north of Kaitai, Awanui, so I consider myself to be on very strong ground when putting a different perspective forward. And I would say to the Māori listeners and viewers, you're entitled to have a different view. Just because you have a different conception as to how there should be development on the marae or in the Māori world doesn't mean that you should be dismissed as an ignoramus. You should be dismissed as trying to further victimise local Māori communities. It's a load of rubbish. Democracy is a contest of ideas. Democracy is a contest of people's shared experience. And I'd thoroughly encourage all of you who are listening, don't back down. Don't hide the fact that you have a different view and that you might be shouted. I mean, for goodness sake, look at Auckland. The Auckland City Council, now led by a very good Mayor, Wayne Brown, sadly he's been attacked by the woke media, but he'll prevail. They have in Auckland a Maunga Authority. Now, this is an organisation that was created to try and improve the stewardship and the guardianship of the volcanic cones in Auckland. It's currently run by a committee that is 50-50 between the Super City Council and a variety of the iwi who have historic rights to Auckland. Once again, the court system has called a halt to their rampant attempt to denude the volcanic cones of their current trees, alienate the local communities. And the point that I'm making is that the law can be relied upon. Sadly, it's an expensive experience. The law can be relied upon to protect such rights. The fact that these people have to go to the law to actually defend their rights as local communities shows that co-governance can easily be manipulated. It can easily be exploited so that people who are there representing the public interest have to be loud, proud, and they have to be insistent that the public interest won't be talked down or it won't be smothered through guilt tripping or fear that the proponents might be engaging in some further victimisation. These issues in the past were never openly debated. These issues in the past probably weren't even promoted or pushed by earlier generations of Māori because they either felt marginalised or they were worried about earning a living without pushing these kinds of topics. Rest assured, folks, the cost of living and the ability to pay your way is an issue that's going to grow in size, number, and quite frankly, it's going to grow in scope and fear as we go forward into the next election year. But that's a topic which I'll address very soon. Kia ora.